Hi everyone, this is Krishna Mohan. Uh, so in this presentation, I'm going to teach you how to create a simple template for graphics for engineering course. So main name of creating this template is you can use the template at any time and you can save time. Uh, so every time there is no need to set units and font size and so on. So you can use the template if you want to create a new document. So let me start show how to create a template. So in order to create a template, no, first I'm going to use already defined template. So I'm starting with the new. Just click new here. So I'm creating the template based on ACAD ISO standards. So let's select this option. Open. So you'll have the screen. Now initially I will set the units. So to set the units, the shortcut is UN. Press enter. You'll have this window. So here I'm going to change the units. So for my convenience, I'm defining the precision up to 2 decimals. So I'll set it as 0.00. So by default it is picking millimeters. So set the units in terms of millimeters. I will leave the default value as decimal degrees. Precision I will put we can select it as 0. So I'm done with uh, defining the units. Click OK. Now let me define the limits. This is the next step. So shortcut for limits is LIM. So you can type it in this command line or using the dynamic input, you can enter the values. So I'll start limits, press enter. So now you need to specify the lower limit. So I am adding the limit. I will define the limits as 0, 0 and upper left after upper right corner as 297, 210. So first I need to define the coordinates of lower left corner. So I will assume 0, 0. So, so here in the screen you can find the dynamic inputs. So just press tab key from the keyboard to flip from one coordinate to the other coordinate. The first coordinate is the x coordinate and the next one is the y coordinate. So uh, let's put the values as 0, 0, or you can press tab. You can flip from one tab to the other tab by pressing tab key. So enter the value. Then it will ask us to specify the upper right corner. So since I want a A4 size sheet in landscape mode, I will enter the x coordinate as 297. Press tab and y coordinate as 210. Press enter. So we define the limits. Now I'm setting the limits. So you can switch on or off the limits by using limits command. As already told, shortcuts for limit is LIM. Press enter. See in the command line, you can observe that you have two options, no, on off buttons will be active. So you can press on to switch on the limits. So I'm done with the second step. So we define the limits. Now let me draw a title block. So to draw the title block, I'm using the dimensions as length as 275 and height as 160. So I will draw a simple rectangle. So this rectangle actually represents the boundary of the sheet. So for my convenience, I'm taking the dimensions as length as 275 and height as 160 mm. So let me draw a rectangle. So I'm using rectangle option. You can pick it from this draw menu. So now we need to specify the first corner, which is the left bottom corner of the rectangle. So I'll start from 0, 0, press enter. Then it will ask us to specify the other corner, which is the right top corner. So here I'm entering the values as 275, press tab and enter 160. Enter. So it already created a rectangle, but since you are unable to view it properly, so what I'm going to do is I will zoom. So to zoom all, shortcut for zoom is Z. Press enter. So I want to go for all option. You can directly select this or press this button under zoom from the command line. Select all. So I created a rectangle. So I will assume that this is uh, the boundary of the document or the sheet. Now I will create a title block. So to create a title block, I will use the lines that are that are representing this rectangle. So if I select this now, since we created a rectangle, all the lines are active. So what I'm going to do is I want to explode this rectangle. So you can have individual lines as individual entities. You can observe the change. So let me use explode option. So at present, all these lines are related to the rectangle. So if I click and move, the whole entire body will move or stretch. So I want to avoid that. So what I'm going to do is I will explode this rectangle. So to explode the rectangle, use explode command. Just type explode and you can pick it from this dynamic input window. Just select this option, explode, and so it's asking us to select the objects now. So I need to select the rectangle. So you can observe the change, just press enter. So now if you select one entity now, so each entity is independent now. So in the previous case, they will be in a group. Now I'm going to create a title block. So title block will be represented here towards the right bottom corner. So I'm using offset commands to create a block here. So I want to offset this about a length of 80 mm. So let's use offset option. Offset option will be available under modify. Select this option. So this icon represents offset. So they're asking us to specify the offset length. So in our case, I'm assuming it as 80 mm. Enter the value, press enter. Then you need to select a particular object. So I'm selecting this line. So once you move the cursor, so don't click on the graphic window. So just move the cursor. It will show the direction. So I want this orientation. So let's click on the graphic window. So a line will be created there. So I will use the same process, press escape. Once again use offset option. Now change the distance to 50, enter. Then I'm going to select this particular line, and move towards the positive y direction. So I just use these lines. So my aim is only to retain this portion of the sketch. So I want to trim these two entities. So let's use trim option. So trim is available under modify. So you can press this icon. Now I'm going to trim this extra part of the line as well as this one. Press escape. I'm done with trim option. Now what I'm going to do is I will create 4 rows and 2 columns so that I can add some text here to specify the details of this particular drawing. So I will use once again offset option. So let me check the height. So we already created this now. See, it is showing 50. So let me zoom in. See, the length is 50, or you can change it to 40 if you want. So this actually depends on the industry. So every industry have their own standards. So you can take any format. So for my convenience, let's make this as 50 instead of 50, let's make it 40. So I want to delete this dimension. See, I want to move this along the y direction. So select this line using the left mouse button. So I'm holding this rectangle or cube, and let's move in the y direction. So see that you switch on the auto on. See, when I move now, see, it is showing the distance. So I want to move 10 mm in the downward direction. So let me add that value 10. Press escape. I'm done with. I just moved the line about 10 mm in the y direction. So this is extra portion now. I will trim that using trim option. You can remove that. Press escape. Now I will create 4 rows and 2 columns. So here I'm going to use offset. Since as I told, we are going to create 4 rows now. So let's define the offset length as 10 mm. Click enter. Then I'm going to offset this line in the downward direction. So once again, I will keep the length constant, which is offset distance constant, which is 10. So I can, instead of defining the distance once again, I will just retain that value and simply select this line and show the direction. So I created 4 rows. Now I'm going to change the offset length, and I'm going to create 2 columns. So for that, once again, I use offset. In this case, I will change the offset distance to 35. Enter. So I'm going to offset this line towards the positive x direction. So let's select this object and click on the graphic window. Then it will divide this box as 2 columns. So I created a title block. let me add the text. So to add the text, so now I'm going to create a text style. So let's move to format option. See, from the menu, select format and pick text style option. I'm selecting this. See, so by default it is following standard text style. So I'll create a new style. So you need to press new. Let's name it as title block. Click OK and make the changes that are necessary. So I will use font as Arial. So style, I will use bold option instead of regular. I'm using bold, and height I will specify it as 2.5. So according to your convenience, you can set these values. Click apply, then close the window. Or otherwise, let me create another text style. So which I'm going to use it to name the corners or to create text within the drawing document. So I'm going to create one more set of text style. So create new. So I'll name it as naming. Click OK. So in this case, I'm going to use Arial regular style, and I will specify the height as 3. Click OK, or you can press apply, then you can close the window. So we created two different text styles. So initially I'm going to add, I will finish this title block, then we'll try to draw a, try to solve a problem. So before that, let me add some information to this title block. So press escape to come out of the text mode, text style mode. See, I'll start from here. So I'm going to create a text. So to create a text, go to annotations. So you can find this option text in this from an annotation ribbon or command manager. So let's start with text. You need to create a text box. So click on the graphic window and create a box to add text. So I want to change the style. See here, you can change the style by selecting the style that you created now. So I will pick this option title block. So let's make it active. So before adding the text, you need to select this title block option. So here, so let me add some information. So I'll start with the topic. So you can use different justifications if you want. I will go for center justification. So if you want to move this title block, you can easily do it. Just select the select that text that you created. You hold this rectangle and drag it so that you can place it anywhere that you want. So if you are unable to control these things, better to switch off ortho and select this, and also the snapping if you are unable to control the positioning of the text within this space. So I am done with this. Now let me create one more title, one more text block. So I will create a box here. So let's name it as exercise number. So before that, change the text style. So I will opt for title block. So now you need to enter the text, which I say that exercise number. So go for center justification. So you can copy this and you can paste it directly and edit the text if you want. So to copy the text, select the particular text, use Ctrl C, then press Ctrl V and paste it precisely here. So now I want to edit the text. So I will add a text here. So stating that all the dimensions that we follow are in millimeters. So I will add a text like all dimensions are in mm. So let's readjust this text box by selecting it and moving it precisely. At the bottom, I will mention the scale. So preferably, I will follow scale as 1:1. So you need to definitely mention the scale. So let's add one more text box. So I'll press Ctrl V. I will place it here. Let's edit this. Edit the text. Specify it as scale is 1:1. Now add one more text box here. So I'm using text, create a text box. So here I'm going to specify the student name. So better to copy and edit it. It will be very easy because see once I take a text box, no, once I create a text box, I need to change this style once again. Okay, so let me specify the student name here. So go for center justification. So similarly, in this space, I'm going to fill the student registration number. Then create one more text box. So here I'm going to specify the faculty name. And I will add faculty signature. So these are the different items that I choose for this title block. So if you want to add names, no, you can separately create a name here and fill in this area. So I'm done with the title block. So now let me take a printout of this. So I will create a layout for this title block. So let me create a new layout. So before creating the new layouts, no, you will have by default some tabs. So I will delete one of the options and edit this one. See, I want to define the size. So let's right click on the layout option, layout tab. So I will change the size of the sheet. So to change the size of the sheet, I need to offer a page setup manager option. Let's select this. So see that this is active, layout 1 is active, and I want to modify this. Let's click modify, and here you need to specify the size of the sheet, paper size, so which is ISO 297 by 210. So I'm picking this option. You can observe the change here. Then here I want to plot the whole layout area. So I will offer layout option. See that you don't add any offsets. Maintain the scale as 1:1. And here you can change according to your options. Like I will plot the line weights. So I will make this active. It's already active. Let's leave it as the default settings. And here if you want to, you need to pick a plotter. You can connect the software to a printing machine, or you can directly convert the drawing file into a PDF document. So at present I will offer this option, which is drawing to PDF. Okay, let's click this, then click OK. So let me view the preview. See here I'm unable to view the I didn't align this properly. So let me close the window and readjust the plotting area. So I'm not satisfied with these options. So I did actually set the correct values, but I didn't edit the viewports properly. So let me cancel this, close the window. Okay, see so in the layout at present I can view this drawing that I created. So generally the drawings are created under model space, and to print the drawings you can use layout option. So if you see this box actually represents the viewport area. So I want to extend this. So see that this viewport area should be inside this dot box represented by these dotted lines. So you can readjust the viewport so that you can have a better view. Okay, so I will just simply hold these rectangles and drag them such a way that I can stretch the viewport area. See at present the drawing that we are viewing now is following a scale of 0.73, but I want the scale to be 1:1. Okay, if I went for 1:1, maybe the whole area cannot be viewed within this viewport. That's why I want to extend the viewport area. by just selecting these rectangles and readjusting the viewport area. See that the viewport area doesn't cross those the boundary which is represented by the dotted lines. So I'm done with this. So press escape. So now I want to view this rectangle with the 1:1 scale. Okay. So to change anything, to change the scale, you need to double click within this viewport area so that the drawing is active. So let me double click within the viewport area. See, once I double click on the graphic window. See, I can change the scale here. So let me change it to 1:1. So I think here it is following A4 size sheet in landscape mode. Sorry, portrait mode. So I will change the size of the sheet once again. See, when I put it as 1:1 now, see, I'm unable to view the total area now. So let me change the style to landscape. So activate page setup once again. Go to new. Sorry, modify. See, by default it is picking 210, 297. No, I will change it to 297, 210. Then click OK. Close the window and readjust the viewport area once again. So I made that mistake. You can rectify that. So before arranging the viewport properly, see that you change the orientation of that A4 size sheet. Okay, this is how you do it. So right click on layout, see that this is active and go for modify option and set the paper size to 297, 210. So there is no need to convert the drawing at the moment. So let's click OK. Close the window. So now once again I want to arrange this viewport properly. So let me select the viewport area and pick this rectangle and align it properly to that particular boundary. So this looks good. Go. Just press escape. So now let's double click on the viewport area. So I'm choosing the scale as 1:1. So you can rearrange the window by using pan option. So you can use the middle mouse button. So just hold the middle mouse button and drag the area such a way that you place it exactly within the limits. So now I'm able to view the whole sheet area. So which I selected as 275 by 160 now. So try to remember that value. So now if you want to take a printout of this, just right click, use right click on that layout tab, select plot option. So all the settings, leave it as default values. And here instead of uh, none, no, I can use this option DWG to PDF. So I will choose this option, then click OK. You can have a preview if you want, just press preview. So this looks good. So I want to leave it like this. So if you click OK, then the whole drawing will be that DWG will be transferred to uh, in a PDF format. So let's click OK. So show the path to save the file. So name this. So I'm naming it as title block. Save the file. So it will convert the drawing into a PDF format. See, this looks good. Here maybe you can readjust the drawing properly so that uh, you don't. So this line no actually is coinciding with the boundary. No, you can realign that if you want. Okay, we'll do it later. So at present I didn't add the details of those like student name, roll number, and so on. So since I'm creating the template now, I don't want to introduce all those things here. So once you start drawing, putting the drawings within the space, then you can add these values later. So at present I want to use this as a standard format, so that's why I created it. I'm going to create a template. So here I'm going to realign this properly. So if you can't realign properly, you can switch off the auto and snap options. So and move the screen. So I'm done with this. Let's press escape. Okay. So let's move to model space once again. Actually, I created the text box now. Now let me add some layers to this drawing or to this template. So advantage of layers is you can switch on or off of the layer at any moment. So suppose if the sketch is very complicated, if you have so many different types or styles of entities, then it is very difficult to find which line actually represents a particular entity. So to avoid those things, better to learn how to use layers. So I will now teach you how to use layers. So before creating layers, I want to add or define line types. So to create different line types, I will go to format and pick this line type option. So by default, you'll have this option continuous line. So while drawing, I'm going to use different styles or different types of lines. So I want to load at the beginning itself and save them in it as a template. So I want to load those different types of lines. So I'll start with hidden lines. So you can use this load option and pick the correct one. So I will go for hidden two option. Let's select this, click OK. Once you select it, it will be displayed here. So once again, use load option. I'll create center lines or select center lines. So I'll go for center 2 option. So according to your wish, you can select any one among these or multiple entities. Click OK. Then I will represent the cutting planes using a different style of line, different type of line. Use load. So I'll go for ISO long dash double dot. So these lines can be used for representing, this style generally is used for representing locus lines or cutting planes. So I'm opting for this option. Click OK. Then I need to pick let me cross check this. So let me load lines with lines followed by dots. So I will go for this option, long dash dot option. Let's click this. So sometimes this option can be used for representing the cutting planes. Click OK. So I'm using uh, long dash with double dot to represent the locus lines, and long dash with dots to represent the cutting planes. So every uh, different standards follow different styles. So for our convenience, we are picking these options. So I'm done with the different line types. So let's close the window. Click OK. Now I'm going to create different layers. So I'll start. Layers option will be available under format. Let's select format option. So I'm opting for layers. See, by default, it is showing two options. So I will create a new layer. So let's select new layer option. So let's name this as object. So I'm using object layer to represent the final figure, the figure that is actually visible to us. So generally we use continuous lines with the line weight of 0.6 mm. So that's why I want to create a different layer so that you can flip from one layer to the other layer very easily. So here the line type, I will put it as continuous, but I will change the line weight. So let me select line weight option and change the line weight to 0.6 mm. Click OK. So by default, it will pick the default line weight. So generally it will be 0.25. So if you want to overwrite the line weights, you can select that option here. Now let me create one more layer. So in this case, I will name this as center line. Center line option. So center lines have a different line type. So instead of continuous, I will change it to this center line 2 option. Click OK. See, line weight, I will change it to 0.3 mm. Click OK. So just double click to select that. So I'm done with defining the center line. Let's add a new layer. So here I'm going to name the layer as construction. So I'm using this option to draw the construction lines and projectors and so on. So generally they are represented by continuous thin lines. So I will change. So by default it is picking center now. So just double click and change the style to continuous. Click OK. And this should be very thin. So I'll change the size to like very thin. So I'm opting for 0. Now let's define the style for cutting plane, layer for cutting plane. I'm selecting a layer. So name the layer as cutting plane. So let's define the style. So I'm using long dash with dot to represent the cutting plane. Click OK. So sometimes you can also use long dash followed by double dots to represent the cutting planes. So to differentiate the locus lines from the cutting planes, I want to use two different options. So that's why I'm opting for long dash followed by a dot. So let's pick this option. Click OK. So change the line style to 0.3. Click OK. So let's define a new layer for locus lines. If you want, you can change the color also. You can represent the color. So since we are taking a printout, we don't use a color printer. That's why I'm opting for only uh, white or black. So I don't want to change the colors. If you want, you can change the colors. So let's name it as locus line. So to represent locus lines, I'm using long dash followed by two dots. So I'm selecting this option. Click OK. Lines line weight, I will put it as 0.3. So I created different lines, line styles, and also different layers. So you need to change the layers before actually creating a particular line. That will be very easy. So you can flip from one layer type to the other layer type. So I will show the advantages of using layers while solving a problem. So at present, just add these layers within the template itself. So let me close this layer option. So now see the extension for this document is .dwg. So it's a drawing document. So whatever changes I made, I want to change. I want to save these changes as a template. So to create a template, so go to File. I'll opt for Save As. I want to save the whole document as a template. So use Save As option. Show the path. See, you need to overwrite this .dwg option. So instead of .dwg, I'll select .dwt. So .dwt stands for templates. Okay. So create a folder and save the template in that folder. So we can use the template at any time. If you want to create a new drawing, so you need to create a document based on that particular template. So every time there is no need to make the changes. So let's move to the desktop. I created a separate document, separate folder. So I'll save it as GRIET. graphics for engineers template. Save. So just so I want to put the measurements in matrix. So let me leave the other things as default values. Click OK. Now a template is created. So you can use this template to create a drawing.